Welcome to partialarc.com. Don't do that.
I'm here to save the day. I'm here to save the day.
Soon I will be invincible. Because comics. Welcome to Because Comics. This is episode 12. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and I'm joined by my co-host, the malleable Mike Christensen.
Yeah. I'm not entirely sure what that means in this context.
You're very, you can be bent and adjusted and...
like physically? Or
yeah,
like in
physically
life?
malleable.
I didn't realize that.
I only note that because when you came here, you were bending around corners, and
is that not normal?
I mean, I don't think it is. Most scientists would consider you very interesting, is all I have to say.
I want to try something.
Okay.
Yeah!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Worth it.
Thank God this is just an audio medium, because I can't even describe to you people what I just saw with my very own eyes.
Felt better than it looked.
Did it?
Not a lot.
Because it hurt me in a lot of different places, like those muscles you don't remember you have.
Yeah.
And I mean...
I'm not sure you do have those.
It might be true. That might be because of the psychosis that you just put me into, or the trauma. I mean, I'm going to have to see a doctor now, but...
Yeah, I should probably see one too.
Yeah, so...
I can't get this back to normal.
No, I mean, it looks really odd, and that color is pretty disturbing.
It's getting darker.
Well, let's try to ignore it. Let's push out the pain and dive into our pull list, I guess, and just forget about it.
And never speak of this again.
We never speak of it again. So, for our pull list this week, I'm gonna dive into a Image comic called Southern Bastards. So it's a very family-friendly book. There's a lot of hugging. No, so Southern Bastards...
Sounds like lying.
Sounds like lying. Southern Bastards is written by Jason Aaron, who I've talked about before. My love of writing of his awesome Thor series.
And he does a great job on... He's not on Wolverine in the X-Men anymore, but he was.
But he had a great run. And the artist is Jason Latour, so two Jasons working on this. Mm-hmm. And Southern Bastards definitely feels like a really big labor of love. Like Jason Aaron, I think, just from his background, I think he came from a very southern town or southern-y town and has like a big love for like barbecue and all of that, like all of those kind of southern-y tropes. Sure. And he really kind of gets to go to town with it in this series. And just to kind of give you the real flavor of this story, as I said, it's family-friendly. That was clearly a joke. The comic opens with Image Comics Presents, and the next page of the first issue is a dog taking a shit on the side of a highway. And I don't mean a small panel, the entire page is this dog taking a shit on the side of the highway.
I did hear about that.
It's like, well, here we go.
Either you're in or you're out right now.
Right now. This is the first page. You going? Next page? Okay. So,
do we still have you?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Then you're in. So we're following our main character. His name is Earl Tubb, a very southern.
That's a southerny
name. So Earl Tubb, and he's
Is it Tubb with two B's?
I believe, yeah. Tubb with two B's, of course.
Fantastic.
Maybe 6, who knows? But Earl Tubb is returning to Craw County, also very southern name.
I know.
Really go for it. And he's returning to Craw County to kind of, I guess, clean up some old family affairs. Now, Earl Tubb is not a young guy. He's like in his late 40s, maybe even early 50s. He's an older gentleman. Mm-hmm. He's returning to Craw County, this place where he grew up. He hasn't been for years. He hasn't returned for a while for maybe some problems he had with his family, and he didn't want to come back. We find out a little bit more as we enter this town. But it's, as you would imagine, it's very much of like what you would call a podunk town.
Sure.
That one-horse town. Those towns.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, and he goes there, and the whole time he's kind of like packing up a house, and it seems like his father has passed away, and I think maybe he's kind of like tying up some affairs of leftover and kind of selling the place, cleaning it out finally, and we start to kind of dive into, I guess, some of his past as he starts to run into some old faces in the town. Mm-hmm. And this is where we start to build the conflict. This town is not well regulated by the police. It is actually kind of a dictatorship.
Oh.
Yeah. Because the whole town kind of rallies around the football team of Craw County.
Okay.
Which is something that's not completely inaccurate with some places that might be like this town in real life. But they love their football team, and their football team's great. And
the high school football team?
The high school football team. And the actual kind of pseudo leader of the town is the coach. He's like the king of Craw County.
Interesting.
And all of his muscle are players of his football team, and they literally have free reign to do whatever they want. And as Earl Tubb kind of digs deeper into, he's only meaning to be there for a few days. It's kind of like that, like that Shane character, or like that, I'm just rolling into town for a few days. I'm gonna get out of here, clean up what I need to do with my dad, and I'm done. And he has that old kind of like, I didn't get along with my dad, he was a bastard, I was a bastard, we didn't like each other. And the story really kind of escalates, obviously. Yeah. With maybe a conflict between Earl and the coach, and he finds a reason to stay. But the really cool thing about this series is it definitely has a really hard, kind of fun, gritty feel, with it kind of diving into this kind of rustic southern world. But it also has some really fun elements of almost fantasticism. And what I mean by that is there are some things that happen that are almost like primal nature moments where like lightning strikes and creates something
I see.
Or like kind of creates these beautiful fantastical moments that you wouldn't expect to find, but they work amazingly well in this book. It's not a lot, it's not the central point of the book, but it happens, and it's really kind of those fun kind of old folk tale stories,
symbolic kind of moments. And
it's really fun. It's really well written, and they really hit the themes really well. So if you want to kind of get lost in a really fun, gritty kind of what's that? I think there was a film. It was like Big Stick or Walk Hard or something like that. Walking Tall.
That's the one.
And not Walk Hard.
That was the Dewey Cox story.
That was a Dewey Cox story. But Walking Tall, Guy returns just to kind of clean up his affairs and realize that maybe he might just clean up the whole town. So it's really fun, really cool, and a bit edgy and violent, but it's a really great read. So I highly recommend it. Southern Bastards, everybody. And Mike, what is your pull for this week?
My pull is as different as possible from yours. It's it's Marvel's Silver Surfer.
You're telling me Silver Surfer doesn't open with a dog shitting on the side of a highway?
No, that's how each issue ends.
Okay.
Just a dog. It's the page from Southern Bastards.
But it's like a robotic space dog shitting in an asteroid?
It's literally the same page from Southern Bastards, just for no reason.
It feels a bit lazy.
That's what they have instead of a letters column.
I don't know how Marvel and Image kind of work that collaboration out, but, hey, whatever their long game plan is, I'm in.
No, that's not any of that's
not
true.
At all.
But no, Silver Surfer right now is being written by Dan Slott and drawn by Michael Allred, who's kind of famous for Madman from back in the day. And Dan Slott's been crushing it on Spider-Man for years. He used to be very prolific, and then he really scaled back on all the books he writes. And he was just doing Spider-Man.
Because, he turns out so many Spider-Man issues.
He was doing 2 or 3 issues a month
for
years. He wrote issue 600 and issue 700. That's that guy's tenure. He didn't write everything in between, but he wrote a lot of it. At least half of that was all him. And
for sure. And now it's just him.
It's just the Dan Slott show.
Yeah.
But he's also passionate about a lot of things. One of those is Doctor Who. He's a big Doctor Who fan, and you can tell when you read his Silver Surfer, because it's got that fantastic element.
Fun, cosmic-y, like, everything's kind of wonky and silly.
Particularly when you get into, like, the 11th Doctor, where they kind of stopped explaining things, and they're like, it's basically magic, just roll with it.
Yeah, just go.
We're just telling the story, don't worry about the science. Like, that kind of thing works really well in the Marvel Universe.
That's great.
So, like, for example, there's a place they go, a planet called the Empiricon, which is almost like a mall, but it's a planet.
It's a giant mall planet?
It's just a bunch of, like, shops. And, or at least the outside is. There's more to the inside that we get into as the issues go on.
Right.
The first 3 issues, I think, are all set around that planet. But it's a place where physics doesn't quite work right. Like, it shouldn't be the way it is. Like, it shouldn't function.
Like, the planet shouldn't be as it is?
It shouldn't.
Because of, laws of
shouldn't
physics
be working,
and things?
Yeah, and Silver Surfer gets there, he's like, how do I not know about this? How have I never heard of this? And they're like, because you were the Herald of Galactus. He's like, I haven't been the Herald of Galactus for years, and how did I never even hear about this? Because you were the Herald of Galactus. Like, we did not
made
tell
sure that
you.
you did not know about this planet.
We made sure you didn't even see it if you flew by. Like,
I don't think you realize what your job description was.
you found planets, and
were
then a
eaten.
big dude ate them. That was your job.
We quite literally have a team dedicated to just not being near you.
Yeah, that was the premise. That's the whole thing. That's the thing that kind of links Silver Surfer a little bit with Doctor Who. That dude's got a tragic past.
He does.
To kind of atone for.
And he's pretty well known for a lot of murder.
Yeah, and he's just trying to do his best to kind of help out the universe. He also is traveling around with a 19-year-old human from Earth, a 19-year-old girl.
They don't even try to shy away.
They didn't even try.
They're like, this is Doctor Who,
They
guys.
straight
on
up
a
went
surfboard.
for. They straight up went for. Yeah, it's basically it's
The
not Amy
surfboard's
Pond.
longer when you stand on it. It's so weird.
It's so Doctor Who. It's so much fun
That's
because it's
awesome.
this girl from Earth. Now she has a sister who always wanted to travel, but she didn't. This girl, her name is Dawn Greenwood, just wanted to just kind of. She loved it in
Let's just say that name's a very Doctor Who name.
Dawn Greenwood.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But she lived in Anchor Bay, Massachusetts. She never wanted to leave. She just loved it there, and now she's like in space, like there.
Going to Crazy Mall Planet.
She's straight up there now, but he doesn't bring her.
She tags along somehow?
She is abducted by aliens to incentivize him. So they basically come to the Silver Surfer and they're like, we want you to take out this villain. It's called the Never Queen, which again, super Doctor Who.
Awesome name, by the way.
The Never Queen is terrific. We learn more about. I don't want to tell you anything about the Never Queen,
Please don't.
but it's
Never tell me.
it's
about-
pretty
I'm
well
sorry.
done. I know, but they basically say, will you protect us from the Never Queen? He's like, it's not really my fight, guys. I mean, but I'll help. And they're like, okay, so here's the thing: is that what we do is that if case someone says no, we abduct like a family member or
Oh, that's
something.
okay.
Someone that you love. He's like, I was gonna help you, jackasses. Who did you abduct? My child, my wife. And they show him a human from Earth. He's like, I don't know who that is. I've never seen that person before. I don't know.
Is she a Facebook friend? I don't know all those people. Just let you know.
Is it from MySpace? Is it from back in the day? I never deleted
I don't
my
check
account,
that
guys.
anymore, I'm sorry.
I don't really use it. I don't remember the password.
She was your number 4. Damn it.
It was my Hotmail account, guys. But no, he doesn't know why she's connected to him. But for some reason, again, we're talking 11th Doctor, Doctor Who.
You didn't. You couldn't see this, but Mike's hands did the kind of
It was
spirit
almost like
finger
the spirit
almost.
fingers, like in the Disney arc over the castle. kind of.
Magic.
But that's very much like there's something going on between those two. Like they're linked somehow, and they have no idea.
Awesome.
It's like he has a sense that maybe something's going on, but doesn't have any clue what's going on. And she's just straight up
Also,
like, "Why am I
very-
in space?"
Also, very Doctor Whovian. I mean,
Yeah.
we can probably make a lot of connections
There's
all day, every day.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a love letter to just cosmic Marvel.
Right.
This is something that Dan Slott's written a lot of, and he's kind of coming back to. Apparently, he has some like unresolved like stories he wanted to tell with cosmic Marvel stuff. And,
Interesting.
Like Silver Surfer's the place to do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't get more
It's a
cosmic
free
than
roaming
that.
character to just go nuts in the cosmic.
He's an interesting character because the last person that I remember taking him on was Matt Fraction in The Defenders. He basically treated him like an optimistic Dr. Manhattan. Because his whole thing was like...
That's
He's
a very good
He's
point.
like, I've never done this before. Like, they were in a plane and it exploded, and he was just tumbling out of the sky and he's smiling. He's like, this is new.
This is so interesting.
And there's one point where they go to this mountaintop to talk to him, and they're like, where is he? And he reforms from snow. He's like, I'd never been snow before. And they're like,
Wow.
so you were in us, right? Like you were in our hair and in our eyes and our lungs and stuff. Like that's how snow works. But this
pretty
is
awesome.
a more grounded kind of like more not focused because he's still a roamer, like a
Right.
wandering character. But he's more of that, galaxy trotting hero.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what really works about him. And he's a character who's never had a lot of great traction, at least for me personally.
Not me either.
But I really like this version of the character. And Dawn is really great as well. She's a really great character. That she's resourceful and she's got a good head on her shoulders. I like those two together.
That's
So,
awesome.
Definitely suggest you guys check it out. Silver Surfer from Marvel Comics.
I'm in. I love that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
definitely going to check it out. Finally. Jeez. All right. Well, those were our pulls for the pull list. And now we're going to roll into our main segment. Mike, let's do this thing.
Swamp Thing number 7. Night of the Bat. So we talked about Swamp Thing about a month ago, I think. Your recommendation was Swamp Thing.
With the Charles Soules run. Yeah.
The modern day run. We got a little bit into his background. This is actually from first series of Swamp Thing.
And really? Before even...
This is before Alan Moore.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so this was still, like, tragic character. I think I'm Alec
I'm
Holland.
a man, I promise.
So I'm just going to do a little bit of background because it's kind of, like, important to kind of know where we came from. Again,
Right.
Alec Holland and his wife Linda were scientists working for the government. Their government contact was a guy named Matthew Cable.
Okay.
An improbably cool name. And they were approached by this guy named Ferret, who was working for an organization called the Conclave.
His name was Ferret?
His name was Ferret. And he was working for a company called the Conclave, or an organization. And they're like, we want your formula. And they were like, no. And they were like, you'll regret it. And then this dog came.
Guy named Ferret working for the Conclave.
And they found this dog. And they're like, oh, well, it's just a dog. But they didn't realize there's a transponder on the dog, like in the dog's ear.
Man's weakness, who can resist a cute puppy?
Recording everything that they say and like feeding it back to the Conclave.
Okay.
And the
That's
mysterious figure who runs the Conclave is a guy named Mr. E. I mean, if you have a secret organization, I mean,
Look.
I know, Jay. I don't know if you want to talk about this on the air. I know you have a few.
Mike, we're entering some dangerous territory here.
I'm sorry. But if I were to have a secret organization, not saying that you do or do not,
I don't.
but if I did, I'd call myself Mr. E.
Yeah, you probably would.
I mean,
You probably would.
but the only thing we know about Mr. E is that he's, because he's in silhouette in an office, but he's a guy in a suit, and he has an ape with a collar on it, like a chimpanzee or orangutan or something.
When you say
like
a collar, like a dog collar?
Yep.
It's just chilling in his office?
Yep, he like pets it like Blofeld pets a cat, except he can't put it in its lap because it's freaking huge. It's a chimpanzee.
Now that's a dude really obsessed with being as mysterious as possible.
Yeah.
That's a guy who watched old supervillain cartoons and was like, petting a cat, petting a wolf. No. I want to pet a giant mammal.
Yeah.
What can I get away
Well,
with?
that's what a tiger is too. But I want to pet one that looks like a man.
Let's do it.
It's a metaphor. Anyway, the Conclave killed Alec Holland.
Oh,
Yeah, they blew him up.
so we dove right into that.
Yeah, well, that was issue 1. They blew him up, and then they killed Lindy.
They exploded him.
They exploded him, and he woke up in the swamp. He came back, and he's like, dead body, crap! And he goes and finds them and beats the hell out of them. Cable finds him. He's like, oh, you killed them, and you killed Linda, and I bet you killed Alec. Damn you, Swamp Thing!
Which, let's be honest, that's a pretty good conclusion considering what he looks like.
Yeah, because we haven't explained. He's a giant man made out of swamp.
Yeah, if you didn't hear the previous episode, if you don't know anything about Swamp Thing is a swamp-looking thing. He's a viney, monstrous green creature.
Yeah,
man.
he's described as having moss on his hands.
Yeah,
Like, that's
he's
his
all
deal.
plant.
But anyway, he's just rolling around for 6 issues. Well, 5. He's just going around. He's got the dog with him.
Really? Just still following him as a plant person?
He's like holding the dog half the time.
Aw,
He doesn't.
kinda cute.
He still has no idea there's a radio on that thing. Anyway, he wound up in like Bulgaria, and he fought a wizard, and then he fought. And then he fought a Frankenstein that was in that guy's lab. And then that Frankenstein.
Wait, the wizard had a lab?
Yeah.
Whoa, a scientist wizard?
No. It's like Frankenstein style, where it's like sew the corpse parts together.
Oh, okay.
It's more
So
like,
it's like
alchemy kind
Okay.
of deal. Anyway, also Swamp Thing fought a werewolf, and he got back to the States, and he protected a witch from an angry mob. He fought some clockwork robots that looked like him and his wife. It was great.
Pretty awesome.
But this issue opens in Gotham City with a quote from the poem Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. Actually, I don't know if you know this quote. It's the story with like the guy
I
kills
feel
the
like-
albatross, and then
Yes,
it becomes a symbol of
yes,
bad luck.
Yes, and the albatrosses follows him, yep.
Exactly. The quote is, like one that on a lonesome road doth walk in fear and dread, and having once turned round walks on and no more turns his head, because he knows a frightful fiend doth close behind him tread. Then we get a quote from another man who made this at a graveside in Gotham City. And I swear by the spirit of my parents to avenge their deaths by spending the rest of my life warring on all criminals. And the caption is, there is most definitely a connection between those two, and we shall soon discover what that is. Between those two quotes.
Right.
Yeah. So Swamp Thing is in Gotham now. Mm-hmm. And it seems to now occur to him, I should probably put on clothes.
But he's still going to be like Ben Grimming it. He's
Yeah,
still going to be like
he's
rolling with a trench coat
Full
and a
on
hat.
Ben Grimm. He hasn't put on clothes for a while.
It hasn't hit him yet. He just finally was like, oh,
He
right,
forgot.
clothes.
He's like, I should put something on. So he goes into like a shop. He just tears open the gate and goes in. And this cop sees it happen and like calls. He's like, guys, keep the sirens off, but I need some support here, cause monster. And so they're waiting outside.
Correct response.
Yeah, he comes outside. He is full Ben Grimm, trench coat and fedora.
Perfect.
And the cops are there, and they're shooting at him. Now, Swamp Thing can't really talk, We've heard him say a few words.
Oh, really? In these original comics, he doesn't talk.
To the wizard, he said one thing. Because when the guy was like, "Don't you care?"
In all fairness, when you're fighting...
care, but he can't articulate.
In all fairness, though, when you're fighting clockwork monsters and wizards and Frankensteins, I mean, who's really going to believe anything you say anyway?
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Here's the other problem. His main adversary is his best friend who's trying to kill him because he thinks he killed himself. Like, if he could talk right now, like, that would have been the time a while ago.
Yeah. But like, oh, let me explain.
So he's in a lot of situations, like when the cops are firing at him.
He can't say anything.
He's thinking, like, I need you guys not to bother me, and I don't want to do this, but he throws a car at the other car just to, like, buy himself some time. And then he runs down an alley, and they're like, all right, it's a dead end. And they get there, and he's, like, broke the wall down. They're like,
That's an interesting, like, problem-solving technique. He goes, like, there's a wall there. What if I just kept running? Oh, okay.
And the thing is, he's still carrying the dog. He's running from the cops, just carrying a little brown mutt in his arms.
Pretty comical kind of scene, almost.
It really is.
Come on.
He never names the dog.
I was just literally thinking, I was like, Scrappy? No. Scooby? No.
He straight up never names that dog.
No? Oh,
because they didn't really own it. They just, like, took it in because it was, like, in the rain.
But you gotta name a dog. Even if you just call it dog.
It was, like, the same night he died. He just kind of calls it that mutt. He doesn't love
Your
it.
name is Alex Death.
We cut... Oh no.
What a sad name.
We cut to a Wayne Foundation board meeting where Bruce Wayne is wrapping up a late night, meeting where they're talking about charity projects. And one of the board members is a man named Nathan Ellery. And he's this heavy-set, white-haired man who's just beaming that, no thanks is necessary. Anything I can do to help the needy of the world. And, he seems nice. But it's just this weird moment where he's like, yeah, I just like helping people. It's fine. And Bruce is like, okay, I just don't like you guys that much. And he goes to his penthouse apartment in the building.
Why not? Consolidate all in one area.
Yeah, I don't
Quick
think
jog to work.
Exactly. Or down the elevator.
Or just tumble into work.
And then he, suits up as Batman and just hops out for a patrol. Out on the Gotham Pier, these few criminals are slinking around, doing some smuggling. I can't talk today. I'm like Swamp Thing.
You've connected so much with the character that you are just struggling through the same problems.
Exactly. Plus, the way I'm bent right now is
that
the
thing
blood
is
loss
probably what's happening to you.
It's getting real bad.
I mean, I could call somebody.
Let's finish the episode first.
Yeah, that's probably the most responsible thing to do.
So on the Gotham Pier, there's a few criminals sneaking around, smuggling big crates, and Batman drops in and he roughs them up. And he's actually pretty chatty during this fight.
Batman
in my mind of Batman. Now, it's not a Batman comic. It's a Swamp Thing comic.
Right.
So I give it kind of that. But also, he's saying things like, well, I've been waiting for the rest of you punks to crawl out of your holes, but after I'm through with you, if you have any brains left at all, you'll crawl back into those holes and pull the dirt in after you.
Yeah, that is way too many sentences for Batman.
And then a guy charges him with a harpoon and he just kicks him and just goes, get the point?
Ooh, way off Batman.
Off-model Batman.
Off-model Batman. That is not how I imagine how those usually go down. Batman only says 5 things ever in a fight.
Then Batman knocks them all out. So, there's no interrogation. But he, on the bodies, finds a clue he's been looking for. A clue to the identity of Mr. E, the mysterious leader of the underworld combine called the Conclave. Dun, dun, dun. So he's on this guy's trails as well.
So we have some connections forming. Exactly.
Then the bat signal shines out, and Batman thinks, well, Commissioner doesn't use that anymore unless it's an emergency. So he goes off to talk to the Commissioner.
Yeah.
We jump back to that moment when the boardroom meeting broke up. And instead of following Bruce Wayne, we follow Nathan Ellery. He gets into his...
very nice, very pleasant guy who is totally not going to be into anything weird, right?
He has an ape with a collar in his limo.
Oh, so this is Mr. E.
Mr. Ellery. He didn't even change his name.
Wow.
He really is Mr. E.
He's not being that secretive, I guess.
I mean...
But just call me Mr. E. It is Mr. Ellery.
Unlike certain characters who we spoke about 2 weeks ago,
yeah,
no one knows the address of this.
That's good. That's
spy
one step
organization.
Further than I guess.
But he's driven to this warehouse where a comically German scientist, Dr. Hammerschmidt. Yep.
Okay. Dr. Hammerschmidt.
His accent is exactly what you think it is on the page.
Oh yeah.
He has Matthew Cable and Abigail Arcane strapped into electric chairs, and he's torturing them for information
about Swamp Thing.
I don't know about the Conclave.
We don't know
probably.
about the loves of Hammerschmidt, but maybe it involves torture.
He's been close to the Conclave case, so I'm sure that's part of it. So it's probably what do you know about
like a
us?
consultant for the Conclave, or
he's the Conclave scientist.
Oh, okay,
yeah. They're like a secret organization of bad guys, I assume.
But Cable's been investigating them.
I think so, as part of the connection to the Swamp Thing case.
Gotcha.
That's the only thing I can think, like, why are they torturing these guys? They don't ask any questions. We don't see them say, like, we'll get all the information out of Alec Holland, out of you. Like,
Mike was mimicking a mustache that he doesn't have.
Which I wish that you guys could have seen.
Yes.
Batman sneaks into Commissioner Gordon's office completely unnecessarily for the secret surprise entrance.
Of course.
And Gordon tells him...
if you're going to have little enjoyment in life as Batman, it's those things, right?
Yeah.
It's freaking out Gordon every now and then.
Yeah, and every time you talk to him.
Yeah.
And Gordon says, we've got a bona fide monster in Gotham. The government confirmed it. Here's the file they sent me on a Swamp Thing. They call it the Swamp Thing. Like,
hey, the fastest way to get to that definition.
I just love the government's like, no, that's a thing.
No, it's a Swamp Thing.
Literally a Swamp Thing. Yeah, that's a monster. Here's the file. To be fair, that thing's been cited all over Europe.
Yeah, he's been fighting werewolves and clockwork monsters.
Yeah.
And probably making a big stink out there.
Yeah. Gordon wants Batman to, like, track the monster down before, like, Gotham finds out there's a monster and freaks out.
Because, look, Gotham, as we all know, is a very pleasant city. You know, very stress-free
Certainly
for the
not
citizens.
known for being full of a superstitious, cowardly lot.
No, definitely not. And certainly not a city known for being, ravaged by death clowns and poisonous gases.
The only lead Gordon can offer on Swamp Thing's whereabouts is that he is in disguise and traveling with a small brown dog.
Awesome.
All they know about him.
He's in disguise, which just means people clothes.
Yep.
Because that's not a disguise. It's just, you might just say he's wearing clothes.
Yep. So, and then Gordon says, so the sooner you get started, Batman, the better will... Batman? Because, of course, the window's open and Batman's gone. He goes,
Yeah.
oh. And I wonder, like, the sooner you get started isn't really necessary to say to Batman. I wonder if, like, Gordon's, like, padding out the end of his conversations with, like, extra buffer time.
Yeah.
Because he knows, like, okay, I'm done talking about the important stuff. I'm now in the wrap-up paragraph. So at some point, and he's gone.
And he's gone.
There you go. Because otherwise, like, Batman's missing, like, key, pivotal information. Swamp Thing just sets the dog down in an alley and quietly slips into a booth in a CD bar. Like, he's just, like, slinks in as unobtrusively as he can.
Yeah.
And, like, sits down in the booth, and he's like, I want to draw no attention, but this is the kind of place where I could learn something about the Conclave just by overhearing stuff. And, like, when the bartender comes over, he just kind of, like, nods for the beer, and the guy's like, what a weirdo. It looks like his head was going to fall off. What's going on? This guy's weird. But he just sort of sits there and waits. By the way, how does he pay for the beer?
Yeah, I was just curious about that.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how that's going to work out.
Did he have swamp money, like, just, like,
Yeah.
in his body
Well, he
somewhere?
forgot about clothes for a while. Maybe he forgot about money and social standards
It's
and
true.
anything like that.
But he overhears this guy boast that he's being hired by the Conclave to replace some guys who
That
used to do
was lucky.
smuggling, who just now aren't available because Batman beat the shit out of them.
Wonder what happened to them.
Well, whatever, job opening. But yeah, it's super lucky. He's like, and I've got the whereabouts for where to meet with the guys on this piece of paper. Swamp Thing just straight up snatches it out of his hand, and they tackle him, and his hat falls off, and they're like, oh shit, monster!
Run!
No, fight.
Oh,
They fight him, it goes terribly.
for them, right?
Yeah, and then he sets off to follow the trail.
This is like a detective series
Yeah.
starring Swamp Thing.
Exactly.
He's even got the trench coat and the hat.
Exactly. And he's on the trail of the Conclave. Nathan Ellery, meanwhile, is trying to tie up loose ends. He's got Cable and Arcane, in a warehouse on the
Nathan
docks.
Ellery being our Mr. E. If
Our
you've
Mr.
forgotten.
E. The Swamp Thing's vanished, so that's pretty much taken care of. So
Good
all
for
he has to
him,
do
yeah.
is get rid of that dog.
The dog?
Because it's got a transmitter on it.
But isn't it their transmitter?
Yeah, if someone else finds it, that would be bad.
Right, true.
So he changes the frequency. He does like, this radio frequency should react most interestingly with the transmitter. And that's all he says. And meanwhile, Swamp Thing's dog just goes bug nuts and just starts running away through the streets of Gotham.
Oh, no.
Batman
Not Alex Death, no.
Batman's trying to follow the trail of the Conclave, but, like, not as successfully. Because that guy he was going to beat up for information is kind of already beaten up by Swamp Thing.
Right.
He's in all the same
Somebody's
places.
doing my job for me.
We literally see him in the same spots. Like, instead of in the alley, he's, like, on a lamppost, but he's, like, listening to the same guys.
Interesting.
He's in the house looking at the papers. He's holding the dude up.
It's
and the
like
guy's
it's like a team up that they didn't know was happening.
Exactly. It's just ships passing in the night.
Yeah.
But he's following the trail and sees a small brown dog, like Swamp Thing's. He thinks, oh, you're probably going back to Swamp Thing. You're going to your master. I'm going to follow this dog. And it'll lead me to Swamp Thing. We cut back to Swamp Thing. He's like, I don't have time to look for the dog. I'm following this trail.
Poor Batman.
I know. It's not his book.
It's not his.
He follows the trail to the warehouse, and he looks inside and sees the torture of Hammerschmidt and
Are they
Cable
still
and
getting
Arcane.
tortured? Has this been going on this whole time?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, Cable doesn't break, and I don't know what Arcane knows that they'd want.
Abigail Arcane, yeah. Well, I guess
Maybe
she
they're just
doesn't
gonna-
break either?
Maybe they're just going to kill them slowly? Like, that's the whole idea. They're tying up loose ends. I don't know what they want.
Sure.
They want to be evil at them.
Yeah.
So that's working
We're
out.
eviling you.
Yeah. So Swamp Thing bursts through the wall of the warehouse and, like, frees Cable, and Cable's like, what is... I'm trying to kill you and capture you, and yet you keep showing up everywhere, and then you're, like, rescuing me all the time? What's your game? And Swamp Thing's like, I really wish I could talk. Like,
Man, this would be easy.
literally wish I could speak. Meanwhile, the doctor freaks out and calls Mr. E and goes, Mr. E, the creature who killed Ferret is here. And Swamp Thing's like, Ferret? Wait, that's his boss on the radio? Oh, snap.
Just all little neurons connect in his brain.
Well,
and
now he knows the name. Now he has a lead, a tangible lead on the dude, the boss.
Big day for Swamp Thing.
Big day for Swamp Thing. That's what this issue should be called.
It should just be called Swamp Thing's
Big day for Swamp Thing's big day. Oh, we need to re-record the sting now.
We do now.
Batman follows the dog for several blocks down an alley. It ends at the back door of the same building that Nathan Ellery's penthouse apartment is in. Mm-hmm. He knows this because, of course, he does.
Yeah.
Of course, Batman knows where all of his board members live.
He should.
Why? Of course.
He has probably files upon files of everyone he ever interacts with.
But he assumes that Swamp Thing must be hiding out in the same building, since the dog's, like, scratching at the back door, whining to get in.
So the dog did actually pan out to be a decent lead.
Swamp Thing then shows up, because he's also going to the address. And Batman turns and is like, oh, well, the dog got there first. Well, you monster, I'm going to take you down. He's just beating up Swamp Thing, but, like, badly? Because Swamp Thing doesn't really feel pain.
No, he's a big plant person.
Yeah.
You know?
And so
you can't, like, break plant kneecaps.
Meanwhile, Swamp Thing is like, I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to fight you. I don't know what you want. And finally, he's like, no.
You're a big bad person.
And finally,
What is happening?
he's like, enough of this. This guy's not going to stop until one of us is dead. And he just grabs Batman's fist and backhands him and cold knocks him out.
Wow.
Yeah, Batman crumples to the ground. And then Swamp Thing's like, all right.
Definitely not Batman's book.
No. But then Swamp Thing grabs the dog, but the dog's, like, still scrambling. And Swamp Thing's like, what's your deal? And then Batman's like, climbing to his feet, like, and Swamp Thing's like, what the hell? He's not unconscious still. That's weird. And then he just runs. Batman gets up. He's like, ugh, Swamp Thing got away. But this dog still really wants to get inside, so he picks the lock and lets the dog in. So we cut to the building. We see it from the outside and the inside. Mm-hmm. Swamp Thing is scaling the outside. He's shed the hat and trench coat, and he's digging his...
Because really, you know... If you're scaling the side of a building, you don't need to be inconspicuous.
It's going to slow you down. Yeah, that's true. And he's just digging his own handholds. Meanwhile, Batman is just following a dog up the stairs. It's pretty great.
Look, in all fairness, this dog has panned out pretty well for him so far.
The dog leads to the door of Nathan Ellery's penthouse. And Batman's like, all right, let's see what happens. And I guess Swamp Thing must be up here. And he pushes open the door and just goes like, excuse me, everybody, this is an emergency. Okay, Pooch, now show me your master. Take me to your master. And the dog just runs up to Ellery. And it's like, it's a party. It's not just like him just alone in a house. There's like people in cocktail gowns and stuff. That's like,
so
he's got people over.
Event.
I don't know if it's like an event, but if it is, either Bruce Wayne didn't get his invite or didn't care to attend.
Who knows? Maybe Mr. E throws these kind of things all the time.
You don't know. But the dog runs right up to him. Ellery panics, pulls a gun, and shoots the dog dead.
What?
Yeah, straight up shoots the dog.
There's a really bad joke about the name of the dog, but I don't want to say it, and that's so sad.
Yeah.
Aww.
He does this right as Swamp Thing appears on the balcony, and Swamp Thing's like, you have officially taken everything from me. Literally,
you are going down.
The last thing I had
was that dog.
But he doesn't actually make it personal. He just says, like, you monster, murdered my wife, tortured my friend, shot down a defenseless dog, and what he did to me, I'll kill him. And as he's saying each of these things in his head, he's bitch slapping Ellery back and across the face, and he thinks, I'll kill him. And he falters and he thinks, no, I can't become his kind of filth. Go on, get away from me, fat man, before I change my mind. And he shoves the guy aside. Ellery backs up and steps on the hand of his ape, who, by the way, his ape, the one in a collar, is just sitting there in the corner of his penthouse in the middle of a party. Why did no one know this guy was a supervillain? How did nobody?
Not one person asked that question, so like, this guy hangs out with a giant ape as a pet.
Like, he's got a chimpanzee. Like, I'm not crazy, right? That's weird.
And not tied up? Like, it's just chilling?
Guys, we live in Gotham. How do we not think this guy's evil?
This guy's totally a supervillain.
Yeah, but he steps on the creature's hand. The creature, like, lashes out. It's like the final straw. It, like, bites his leg. Ellery and the creature tumble over the balcony. The balcony breaks, and they tumble into the streets.
Wow.
Like, 50 floors or however far it is, and Batman can't catch either one of them. He's like, oh, crap. And he's like, well, clearly there was more to Ellery than I thought. That bode's looking into. And then he turns around and Swamp Thing's gone. He, like, burst out the door. Everyone from the party's, like, huddled on the balcony, like, terrified, because that's where they fled.
This is such a great scene from the perspective of Batman just being like, what the hell just happened?
Exactly. He looks at Swamp Thing's absence, you know, the fact that he ran away, and thinks, I suppose I should hunt him down again. But I'm betting his work is finished in this town. Just as I'm betting there's a lot more to him as well. Maybe someday I'll take the time to find out what that is. And then he just doesn't.
Just doesn't.
Just fights more murdering clowns, which, to be fair, priorities, that's...
A lot of things going on with those murderers.
He's got a lot going on.
A lot of rogues to fight.
And that's the end of issue 7. That's the end of Night of the Bats.
I love Swamp Thing's big day. Poor Batman. He got slapped around. But he did end up solving the case by following that dog.
Yeah, and I didn't say this, but the reason he knew it was Swamp Thing's dog is because he ran down to try to pick it up, and there was moss all over it, and he's like, oh, well, yep, that's definitely, I mean, that's the guy, right?
That definitely lines up.
That checks out. He didn't just follow a brown dog, hoping that it was the right one.
All right, well, that was a crazy, weird Swamp Thingy main segment.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, well, now that kicks us off into our game segment, which is Who Am I? Who am I? All right, this is our game segment, Who Am I? So, as we do every time on Who Am I, I'm going to hold in my mind the name and identity of a hero or villain from Marvel or DC. And Mike, through a series of 20 questions, has to figure out who that person is. He also has access to 2 lifelines, just in case he gets a little lost.
Because
one of them,
that happens a lot in comics.
Yeah. Your 2 lifelines are a event from their lives, or a quote that they might have said.
Yep.
And all right, Mike, let's kick things off.
Starting it off with the first question, which I always start with, Marvel or DC?
Marvel.
Okay. Hero, villain, or anti-hero?
Villain.
Male, female, or neither?
Male.
Male, villain from Marvel.
Only a few of those.
I know, right? Is he a mutant?
Yes.
He thought about that for a while. That's interesting. It's not Magneto, because you thought about it for way too long.
Damn your detective skills, Mike.
I guess here's a question, because you did have to think about it. Is he an X-Men villain?
Yes.
Okay. Has he ever made an appearance in any film adaptation?
No.
Has he, to your knowledge, shown up in a cartoon?
Yes.
Okay. I guess I should figure out superpowers, even though I know he's a mutant, so I can't just ask if he has superpowers.
Does he have superpowers?
Because he's a mutant. Okay, let's think. Has he ever been a hero?
You know what? I will say yes. There has been a few times that he has sided on the good side. Yes.
Interesting. Okay. I was going to ask if he has, like, notable henchmen. Does he have, like, gimmicky henchmen, like, tied to his gimmick? But, like, that's not really useful either. It's hard.
Is he Scorpion Man? Does he have Scorpion henchman?
Or, like, Apocalypse's 4 Horsemen, but that's not my question. My question is, does he have a secret history? And, like, in the way that, like...
You find out
Cassandra
later.
Nova has the secret history of being Charles Xavier's twin from In Utero, that kind of thing. Some sort of, like, secret connection. Like
to someone that you didn't expect.
Exactly.
I would say no, he doesn't.
Okay. I feel like I can pretty safely rule out Mr. Sinister. Because that dude is just secret history after secret history after secret history.
Mr. Sinister is?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He gave Cyclops his ruby quartz glasses.
Right.
Yeah. Is it Mr. Sinister?
It's Mr. Sinister.
That dude collects Summers Brothers.
I know, but that's not a secret history of his background.
Yeah.
He did a lot of crazy stuff, but that's not his history.
X-Men are crazy complicated.
Yes. Mike, you can tell, maybe you could, but Mike just looked at my face, just have like seizuring explosions going on.
Here's the thing. When you said he'd never been a hero, but he'd been on the side of the heroes, I kind of did rule it down to Mr. Sinister or, like,
right.
Shaw. Like, it wasn't going to be Apocalypse. It wasn't going to be... So I was
Apocalypse never... Mr. Apocalypse.
Mr. Apocalypse.
Apocalypse never was like, you know what? Today I'm going to save the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. He doesn't have those notions. But yeah, I mean,
Sorry, man.
I had some interesting events and some quotes for us.
I'm actually curious what you would have done for events and quotes.
Okay.
I want to hear those.
For the quote, I was gonna basically allude to the line where he says, and I don't know if you know this, is I chose my name because of what my wife used to say I was becoming.
Ooh, I don't know that quote, but that's really creepy.
Yeah, where he got his line, because Mr. Sinister is old. He's immortal.
He's like 1800s.
Yeah, I believe so. 1800s or early 1900s. And he was like, he was big into like cloning and genetics. And I guess as he was like, he discovered Apocalypse. And like as he was getting into more darker stuff, his wife, I guess, called him Sinister. You're becoming more sinister. So he took the name Mr. Sinister. I think after she died. He also did weird stuff with like trying to reanimate his kids. Crazy stuff.
He's weird.
Yeah.
He's a weird character. What was the event?
The event, there was a couple things I could have done. I was gonna say that he tied something to the Summers bloodline, which probably would have given that away immediately.
Yeah, there's not many people as obsessed with Summers brothers as
betrayed Apocalypse very loosely, which he did.
That also probably would have given me the clue because there's not that many villains tied to Apocalypse. Mr. Sinister,
so great.
Mr. Sinister,
it's definitely not Mr. Sinister. My face just explodes.
You went white.
It's like, oh no.
Because here's the thing. Yeah, that's something like.
And also,
I feel like
look, guys, comics, you have a character that's been around for longer than just even 5 years, probably has a bunch of secret shit that
especially
you're
if they're an
them.
X-Men character.
Especially if they're an X-Men character.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking, I was like, well, his history is pretty straightforward.
I don't think either one of us were in the wrong on that one.
Right.
I think everyone came out as well as we could.
Everybody came out clean on that one.
Let's be fair. When you picked an X-Men related character,
yeah, oof,
it was just going to be it was going to be murky.
There was a nest of vipers in there.
Speaking of murky, I don't really have a segue. Mr. Sinister has a terrible goddamn costume.
He does. He really has
so
a terrible
bad.
costume. I have no segue for this, but I have to say,
so terrible.
He's got like a jewel on his head.
The jewel's like the best part, because he's got like a cape made of like
even
ribbons.
So much that I believe in like some of the alternate realities of X-Men, they were like lose everything and just keep the one gem in the center of his head.
Keep him pale, gem in his head. Put him in a suit.
And that's fine.
It's even what he does now sometimes.
Yeah, but like, oh man, whatever you would call those things coming off of him, like, is he just leather straps? Is that what that costume is?
Yes. He's leather. He's like a leather mummy. Yeah. And then there's just like a cape of leather mummy strands coming off of his back. It's god-awful.
So everybody, sorry I got a little bit off the rails there, but you did, look, in all fairness, you pretty much landed it. Yeah. I mean, you plucked it out of my mind, quite literally, in the most ridiculous way possible. So everyone, the answer to who am I?
Also narrowed it down. It wasn't going to be Shaw, because he's been in a movie.
True.
Yeah. Oh, would you have included Apocalypse as making a movie appearance? Because he has a cameo.
I would have. That might not have been fair, but I would have. But
I wasn't thinking about it till just now.
Yeah.
That would have technically been a film appearance by Apocalypse. Yeah.
He was a young Apocalypse, but that was Apocalypse
still counts. But yeah.
And I couldn't even say Four Horsemen, because they were there as well.
That you saw me asking that question.
Yeah. When you brought up Four Horsemen, I was like, Apocalypse, Four Horsemen, ooh, he's going to narrow this one down pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Well, all right, everybody. Well, that was Who Am I? That is Mr. Sinister, or real name Nathaniel Essex, if you didn't know. And all right, well, that ends our episode 12 of Because Comics. We'll be posting a new episode every other week. If you'd like to download more episodes or check out other similar podcasts like Blockbuster Punch-Up or Roll to C's, head over to partialarc.com. That's arc with a C. Of course, you can email us any questions at becausecomics@gmail.com or follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Partial Arc. Of course, we have our comic boy wonder, Mike Christensen, and you can follow him at SuperGeekMike on Twitter, and you can always check out his amazing stuff at supergeekmike.com.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for listening, and remember,
Ohana means family. Family means nobody gets left behind.
You know, that hurts me deeply because I love Disney stuff, but that's the one Disney movie I haven't seen.
Really? You
haven't seen it? I haven't seen
it?
Lilo and Stitch.
That's the one you haven't seen?
It's like the one I haven't seen.
Really?
Yeah.
It's worth checking out. You've seen Treasure Planet?
I have seen Treasure Planet. I mean, look,
enjoy that film.
It's a movie with pirate ships in space, guys. I'm gonna see Treasure Planet.
Because
comics.